What do you think about when you hear the word economy? When I used to think about the economy, I didn't even know where to begin. To me, the economy was a vast, unknown entity that I was barely involved in, something better left to the folks on Wall Street or up on Capitol Hill. I'd run through thoughts of capitalism and communism, and then inevitably my brain would turn to something easier to conceptualize, like puppies, or flowers, or what I was going to eat for lunch. But wait, before you get distracted with thoughts of that escaped cobra from the Bronx Zoo, let me show you just how easy understanding the economy can be. This diagram, created by J.K. Gibson Graham, depicts the various contributing factors of a diverse economy. At the top level, you have the general divisions of what an economy is comprised of: labor, transactions, property, enterprise, and finance. Below this level sits the aspects of an economy that you may be most familiar with, for example, wage labor or capitalist enterprise. These aspects of the economy tend to be the most mainstream, and a lot of the time, this tier is where people stop thinking and carry on their lives. But wait, there's more. If you look farther, you can see aspects of the economy you may have never thought applied, but that you can relate to. Maybe you're still a little confused. Let's go more in depth with, say, Indigenous knowledge, which can be found under alternative private property. While there remains no definitive definition to the concept of Indigenous knowledge, I like to think of it as a dynamic system of usually undocumented local knowledge that contains but is not limited to unique agricultural, medical, and natural resource use/management information. In the emerging global knowledge economy, a country's ability to build and mobilize knowledge capital is equally essential for sustainable development as the availability of physical and financial capital. The basic component of any country's knowledge system is its indigenous knowledge. It encompasses the skills, experiences, and insights of people applied to maintain or improve their livelihood. Indigenous knowledge is developed and adapted continuously to gradually changing environments and passed down from generation to generation, making it closely intertwined with people's cultural values. Indigenous knowledge is also the social capital of the poor, their main asset to invest in the struggle for survival, to produce food, to provide for shelter, or to achieve control of their own lives. At its most basic level, Indigenous knowledge can be equated with intellectual property, but often lacks the legal rights that go along with it. An issue that has arisen between the increasingly global economy and Indigenous knowledge rights is the misappropriation of this knowledge through biopiracy. Biopiracy is defined as commercial exploitation or monopolization of biological or genetic material, usually without compensating the indigenous peoples or countries from which the material or relevant knowledge is obtained. Often, pharmaceutical companies will utilize biopiracy practices to patent medical recipes without compensation or credit to those who actually discovered such a formula. That sounds crazy illegal, doesn't it? The saddest part is that many indigenous communities usually have neither the proof nor resources to fight such blatant theft. So how can countries reclaim the knowledge capital that they are losing? An incredible example of such reclamation efforts is India's Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. This immense undertaking started in 2001 as a collaboration between the government's Council of Scientific and Industrial Research and the Department of Ayurveda, Yoga and Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy, or the Department of Ayush, in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, in order to combat the misappropriation of traditional knowledge through patent registration across the globe. The TKDL, which today is comprised of over 30 million pages of traditional medicinal knowledge and practices, translated from original Sanskrit, Hindi, Arabic, Persian, and Urdu to English, French, Spanish, German, and Japanese, took hundreds of doctors and scholars 8 years to compile and remains one of the world's largest protected indigenous knowledge databases. While the establishment of such a monumental compilation remains unprecedented, its implications do as well. No other such efforts have thoroughly championed the critical importance of Indigenous knowledge as intellectual property and brought the power of that right directly onto the capitalist world stage, where it has traditionally maintained an abused position. Since the establishment of the TKDL, countries around the globe have begun to consider creating their own databases to ensure Indigenous knowledge rights. This past March, New Delhi hosted the first international conference on the utilization of the TKDL as a model for protection of traditional knowledge. Representatives from 35 countries, including the Republic of Korea, Thailand, Kenya, and Peru, attended the conference to discuss the potential of implementing such a system within their own contexts. Through our investigation of the Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, it has become clear that Indigenous knowledge plays an integral role in the function of the global economy. In creating such databases, not only will the knowledge and rights of Indigenous peoples be protected as intellectual property, but commonly undocumented intelligence will also become universally accessible. The mutual relationship between Indigenous peoples and the global economy ignites the potential for cross-cultural collaboration and innovation in the medical sector, which in turn benefits us all.